We live, man. We live. Is Jersey in here? What parts of New Jersey we got in here? What parts of New Jersey we got in here? Too easy. Yeah. 90 ball back to back. That's different. We gonna talk about that in a few. Arliss, what up? South Jersey, what up? Sicklerville, what up? EO, what up? T-Net, Six Side, what up? Too easy. We got Central in the building, Carteret in the building, Englewood in the building, Six in the building, Hudson County in here. Numbers looking good. Kumar, respect. Shouts to Newark, Harrington Park, Vauxhall. He said, I'm trying to move to the city, but I need your help finding the cheap spots. I'm gonna see what we can do. Shouts to Newark though, Camden, whole South Jersey. Shouts to Cali, man. Good to see we got some folk from Cali tapped in. As you should, shooter. As you should. Florida, what up? Yeah, a lot of Jersey vibes. Zone 6, what up? Baltimore in here, okay. We got the Voti legend in here. Chan, what up? Hey, man. I tell you what, let me go ahead and tap my co-host in, man. Get this show on the road. Got a special edition of Hoop Recruit Radio for you guys this evening. But before we get into that special feature, let me go ahead and get my co-host in, the hardest working 16-year-old in broadcast journalism, Mike Cerroti. What's going on, Mike? How you doing?
What's up, Justin? I'm great. I'm
Living.
excited. This one is an exciting episode. Jahvon Quinerly getting on later. Lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I texted you after we wrapped up with last week's episode, and I think both of us were pretty excited about the prospect of having Jahvon on. So should definitely be a good episode. Got a lot of good feedback from the last few episodes. For those of you who are just joining us tonight for the first time, first episode we had Dominic Barlow on of the New York Wrens, previously at Dumont High School. Last week we had Jaden Pierre out of Elizabeth, New Jersey, currently playing at Lou High in Long Island. And we've got a very special treat for the Hoop Recruit Radio faithful tonight. Special interview with Jahvon Quinerly, a New Jersey favorite, or a basketball favorite. You know, it's really bigger than New Jersey. So definitely looking forward to getting into that. But before we do that, Mike, I figured we would set the table, talk about some current events in the basketball world. A lot going on these last couple of weeks. What do you got for me, Mike?
All right, so first of all, before I got on here, I heard you talking. Jaquan Carlos, back-to-back 90 balls. That's just ridiculous. Over in New York, had 92, and then just follow that up with 90. I don't know what's going on over there, but that is crazy.
Yeah. To be honest, I got no idea what's going on myself. I did see a little footage from Jaquan's 90-point game yesterday, but it wasn't really. I guess you could say they weren't comprehensive highlights, but super happy for Jaquan. There was another kid I posted, Ty Allen, out of Brooklyn Collegiate, who I posted today. I mean, the points on the court is great, but there's a lot of people that don't realize what these New York City, both public and Catholic school kids had to deal with over the last year. A lot of these kids, while New Jersey, we're months removed from our high school season. I think we wrapped up in March. Granted, it was short, but we got in and we got out. But a lot of these New York City kids, like, their season is just starting. So the points on the court is great, but really happy for those kids because they haven't really had an opportunity to showcase their abilities, be seen by college coaches. So it's a good story both on and off the court. But yeah, shouts to Jaquan Carlos. I heard he scored another 90 tonight. So crazy times, but good for him. And I think there's a couple other kids. I was checking my DMs before we got on, And I think there was another kid out of New York. There was Todd, there was Jaquan, and apparently another kid scored 80. So I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of that at some
And
point.
so you say that we're out of the New Jersey high school season, but spring basketball, summer basketball. Let's talk about the game that we saw last week over at Ryder, Camden, and the Patrick School. We couldn't get any highlights out, but Justin, you were there for that one. Just talk about that game. A lot of talent on the floor.
Yeah, a lot of talent on the floor. It's funny, a birdie tipped me off maybe a week before the game, and they pretty much told me, they were like, "Yo, it's going down, 10 o'clock Saturday morning, be there." So me, I do my due diligence. I reach out to who I'm supposed to reach out to make sure I'm good, and I got access, but there was one exception. No film. So I know a lot of people have been reaching out to me in the DMs and in the comments. Unfortunately, that's one game that'll never see the light of day. However, um, really good basketball game, back and forth kind of game between Camden and the Patrick School. Camden was led by DJ Wagner. I believe he scored 19 points. Second highest leading man was Cornelius Robinson with 12 points. Zion Cruz led the Patrick School with 16. And a special guest surprise, Chance Westry, led he was the second leading scorer for the Patrick School. So really good basketball, good back and forth affair. It was a one possession game for the majority of the game up until, I want to say, the last minute of the game, where there were a series of and ones. I believe Aaron Bradshaw got an and one dunk, and then DJ Wagner, the next possession down, he managed to get an and one layup. So Camden went down. They went from being down two to being up like three or four in the swing of like two or three possessions. But really good basketball. Shout outs to everybody over at Ryder. Shout outs to my guy, Benjamin Clay, the head of basketball operations, took care of me when I was up there. But again, for those who were looking, there will not be any highlights, unfortunately. It was a closed event, but definitely a matchup to be talked about, for years to come.
I'm seeing some comments right now. So we'll have about 5 minutes until Jahvon Quinerly joins us. But Justin, we also talk about the 2023 contact period getting underway. A number of New Jersey guys have been offered. They're hearing from colleges. The list just keeps going on. But first, just talk about what the contact period means and what it signifies for these players.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the symbolism, again, just thinking back to what everyone's been through over the past several months, whereas in prior years, college coaches would have had an opportunity to, attend open gyms during the fall or attend games, during select weeks or days during the season. A lot of these guys really didn't have an opportunity to be seen, let alone recruited. So when you think about that contact period, it's the formal time within the recruiting calendar where coaches, assistants, staff, what have you, they can actually reach out to the players, express interest, make scholarship offers. And to that end, there were a handful of guys you and I were talking about before we got on the horn. I know I just mentioned Aaron Bradshaw with the go-ahead dunk. I believe he was offered by UCLA, Penn State, Rutgers, and Bryant, another Scholars guy. Aaron Clark also plays for St. Benedict's, I believe. Several schools reached out. I believe he was offered by LSU, Iowa, Rutgers, Mackenzie from Scholars / Gil St. Bernard. He was offered by LSU, Ohio State, George Washington. Simeon Wilcher, was watching him last night. I believe he received a couple of offers. Memphis, Bryant, who's actively on the recruiting trail. And last but not least, Jaden Lamond from Blair Academy. I believe he heard from a handful of schools, including George Washington, Georgia Tech, Georgetown, Butler, Oklahoma. But, good time for the kids, good opportunity for them to begin to engage and get to know these college coaches and assistants a little better, so that they can begin to make some progress with their transition. But an exciting time for sure. Again, between the recruiting, summer AAU heating up, and more recently a handful of the spring leagues in New Jersey, Hamilton Park, Peak Sports, and Mountainside. among others, have begun to play. So busy time in New Jersey basketball.
And now coming up this weekend, there's even more Philly Live, Jersey Live. Some of the
Yeah.
best teams in the state will be getting active. Justin, there's just so much going on. You said that the high school season's over, but in a way, it's just getting started as we get into the summer. What are you looking for as we are going to see some of the best teams in action this weekend?
For me, I think, in comparison to prior years, one thing I'm really looking to strive myself on, both at the player level as well as the league level, is just, giving a comprehensive, just giving more comprehensive and, I just want to spread more love, both in terms of leagues and players. So for me, it's getting out there and really developing an index of who's who from as many schools as I can. So I'll definitely be at a couple of events this weekend. Philly Live, you mentioned Jersey Live and Keene. I hope to be there as well. A lot going on this weekend with respects to basketball. So looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Roselle Catholic, Bergen Catholic, Camden will be at Jersey Live and Philly Live, respectively. I'm just excited to see them playing again. You mentioned the places they've been playing. It hasn't really been a full team event, though, because AAU is still going on. It's in the way. So some players are playing in the AAU circuit, others playing in the summer league with high schools. So there's a lot going on, even though the season ended a few months ago.
Yeah. A lot going on for sure. But yeah, to your point, I mean, a lot of good matchups, but in most cases, you have to take the win or the loss with a grain of salt, considering, most teams obviously don't have their head coach. Some teams are missing pieces. I know, for example, Corey Floyd from Roselle Catholic, he was missing yesterday. And, teams are still building. I mean, it's still June. A lot of kids haven't even graduated. We're talking about the next basketball season. So looking forward to it, man. Again, everything's opening back up. The leagues are rolling, and basketball is back. But Mike, it looks like it's 8:09. Let me see if our guest of honor is in the lobby. The one and only, the legendary Jahvon Quinerly.
I've seen a lot of people say, "Where's JQ? Where's Jahvon?" We'll have him here in a second.
Hold your horses. And I think he should be joining us any moment now. I'll just give it a second. But yeah, otherwise, Mike, I mean, a lot to look forward to. Obviously, this interview, more content coming this way. As you can see, we got the new merch, just dropped the shorts last weekend, and we got a lot more coming in the near term. Let's see.
Oh, I see a comment right now. What do you think about Montverde? I mean, they're going to be dangerous, but they just lost Justice Williams. He announced that he's going to transfer out of Montverde.
Yeah, and I'm hearing he may not be the only one.
Yeah,
Give me
possible.
you. Oops. Sorry about that. Looks like I lost my co-host. Give me 1 second, y'all. Get Mike back in, as well as Mr. Quinerly. Sorry about that, Mike.
Lost connection. It happens.
It
Happened
does
last
happen.
time.
Let me go ahead and send JQ another invite. JQ just texted me. He said he needs 5. So I'll tell you what, Mike. It's good we prep for these things. But just picking up with where we left off. Obviously, we've got the live events going on this weekend. Philly Live. I was talking with one of the members of the team over there. We'll be looking forward to going to that over the course of the 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Keene's also hosting an event, as you had mentioned, Jersey Live. Several public and non-public schools will be playing in there. Any particular lineups on your horizon, Mike, for
Yeah,
the weekend?
definitely, Justin. We were talking about Westfield, the public school. They beat Gill St. Bernard's, and then they lost to 4 to the Patrick School a week ago. They're led by Sean Logan, who plays with Team Rio. He's 6'10". I mean, it's not a team you hear of often, a public school from Union County, but they took the Patrick School down to the wire. They took down Gill St. Bernard, so clearly a top team trying to get to the top level here in New Jersey. I'm also looking at Roselle Catholic. Simeon Wilcher and Jamarcus Lawrence have been looking really good to start this summer season, a duo from Plainfield, and they've been dominating lately.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned Simeon Wilcher, who obviously he's been in the headlines for the last year or so, since he was named to the ESPN top list. But to your point, you can't forget about Jamarcus Lawrence, and I haven't necessarily gone on record just yet, but I would argue he is, and there's another couple shooters in the state, so I'm a little reluctant to definitively say he's the best shooter in the state, but one of the best shooters in the state, if not the country. When you think of him, think C.J. Wilcher, think Jameer Harris, think the best New Jersey shooters that are out there. But I see Dave's Joint just commented, and that's absolutely right. At Philly Live this weekend, Camden will be playing, and I believe they'll have will be matched up against Gabe Cups. I don't know exactly what team he plays for, but I know he used to play with LeBron's son, Strive for Greatness, all those guys back in the day. So I imagine that's going to be a highly anticipated matchup. But I'll tell you what, Mike, let me see if we have. Yep, like Trey's Pops mentioned, Rutgers Prep. They were another team that I saw at the Ryder event, and I definitely see them turning a few heads. You had mentioned last week before we got started with the podcast, Jaden Collins recently transferred over there. He played really well. I had a chance to watch them play against St. Benedict's, and he looked really well. Left the game a little early just due to a minor tweakage, but really like what Coach Matt Bloom's doing over there and the pieces that they're building over there. But let me see if we let's see. Sean Murphy said, "What about Omaha Billow, Sky Clark, and Derek Whitehead?" I haven't actually seen Omaha or Sky play in person. I've seen highlights and stuff on Instagram. Derek Whitehead, obviously a Jersey guy from Newark. He's been on my radar since he was probably 13 or 14. Looks like we have our guest of honor in the lobby. There he is.
My God, it's good.
I'm chilling, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Can't complain.
You just leaving the lab, or where are you coming from?
Yeah, we just had a workout. I just got out.
Nice. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you reaching out. I mentioned a few moments ago you were among the first few people that had reached out once we started the podcast, showed love, expressed interest, and potentially coming on in the future. So really appreciate you taking time out of your busy calendar to get with us. But before we get into the actual interview, and when you think about the interview in terms of the intent, we're looking to fill the void. Obviously, I know you very well, but there's a whole generation of kids out there who didn't get a chance to watch you play in high school. So definitely looking forward to closing that gap, as well as giving you an opportunity to tell your story, because a lot's happened with you over the past year or so. But before we get into that, I'm really big on context. So when you think about Jahvon Quinerly, from a high school perspective, for those who don't know, 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year, McDonald All-American, 2-time Under Armour Association champion, playground legend, Jelly Fam influencer, the list goes on. Transitioning to college, more recently you were named the SEC Tournament MVP, after leading Alabama to the SEC title. You were named the SEC Tournament Most Outstanding Player. And I believe you led the program to its first tournament championship since 2011. And you were also named to the all-tournament team. So all of that considered, if we could just take a few steps back, when did you realize that basketball was something that you wanted to do, seriously?
I want to say 7th grade. I've been playing since I was 9 years old, but like I remember being in 5th grade, like questioning myself, like, is this something I really do? Seeing all my offers, because I was kind of a late bloomer. I started picking up offers. I want to say, like my freshman year of high school, and I was picking 8th grade. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it took me a little bit of time to realize that this is something I really wanted to do, and put my all. I would definitely say probably around grade is where I really started. I said, this is what my life.
And now, Jahvon, you talk about, middle school, you're starting to realize that basketball is what you want to do in the future. You go from high school being incredibly successful, 5-star recruit coming out of Hudson Catholic. You go to Villanova and then transfer over to Alabama. What has been the key over at Alabama that has allowed you to be on such a high level?
Wait, time out. Y'all can't hear me?
It's skipping a little. Are you on? I mean, we can hear. I'd say we can hear 90% of what you're saying, but it's skipping just a little. Are you on Wi-Fi or?
What's your Wi-Fi? Yeah, you want to give me a second?
It's not that serious.
All right. But can you repeat that question? I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. So you go really successful in high school after, that's when you're starting to realize basketball is what you want to do. And then you go to Alabama, and then now it's all starting to click. You are really successful this past season. What has been the key at Alabama that has allowed you to play at such a high level?
When I decided to transfer from Villanova, I was looking for a program that was going to let me play freely, kind of give me the green light to create for my teammates and myself, and really just a family-orientated program. Not saying that Villanova wasn't that, because if we're being honest, that's probably the #1 program in the country when it comes to culture and family. But I needed a spot that was going to let me do what I did to get to where I am now, if that makes any sense. Villanova is a great program. I'll never say anything bad about that program. I still, I tell people all the time, like, I still communicate with my old teammates from Villanova, coaches, coaching staff. I just needed something new. And I felt like, Nate Oates and Brian Hodgson, when they presented to me what they were building here, I fell in love with it right away. I seen the campus. They have everything out here that I need to be a professional athlete. So so that was, that's kind of what I was looking for, and that's what Nate Oates provided for me. So to answer your question. Mm-hmm.
Now, Jay, just to kind of stay on that topic, you alluded to, your professional aspirations, and I would argue, based on the way you played last year, you're definitely on that path to proficiency. But if we could, just kind of reflect on that in-between year, how important was that redshirt year to your development? And do you have the kind of run that you had last year without that year off?
That's a great question. So that sit out here, first and foremost, man. Sitting out a year is one of the toughest things for anyone. That's first. So, like, people that's watching this that's thinking about transferring and thinking that you're automatically gonna get a waiver, like, you got to take into consideration sitting out a year, because that could do something to you mentally. It could help you and it could hurt you. I didn't allow it to hurt me, because I was playing against a guy like Kyra Lewis every day in practice, a projected first-round pick and Herb Jones this year. I'm playing against these guys every day in practice, so it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt me physically on the court because I was getting after it with those guys. But when they said I was ineligible, because they waited so long to tell me I was gonna be
I
ineligible.
remember.
So like, bro, I had Sal from Unguarded come out. Like he flew down to do my first game and stuff. And like right before the game, they deemed me ineligible. So that was tough because like I'm playing well. I was probably, bro, I'm gonna be honest, like my sit out year, I was probably playing some of the best basketball in my life. Like right now, I'm at the top of my game for sure. But that sit out year, like I was ready to come in the SEC and really contribute. So that hurt, but I didn't allow it I didn't allow it to set me back or anything. I still brought it every day in practice. Being on a scout team, I'd be like I think Anthony Edwards was he was a freshman my sit out year. So like they want me to be Anthony Edwards in practice. So I'm going through the reps, just kind of just shooting whatever shot I want, but I'm really working on my game at the same time. And that helped me and that helped my team. So it was tough. I just didn't allow it to set me back, and I just had to keep pushing. But yeah, it's definitely something I would tell people to consider. I'm pretty sure they do consider it, but a lot of kids think, I'm gonna get this waiver because that's what I thought. I'm gonna get this waiver. Like it's no way I don't get a waiver. But it was tough. But I got through it, and it's made me the player I am today. And I would say that it helped me. It could have hurt me, but it ultimately helped me.
Absolutely.
And Jahvon, you say like you were playing your best basketball while you were redshirting. Obviously, you're playing some really good basketball, especially towards the end of last season. When you take that into consideration, do you have any expectations going into next season after what you and your team did this year?
Honestly, I just want to win. That's my biggest goal. We brought the SEC championship to the school. I want to bring another SEC championship to the school. And, I want to make the tournament again. I'm just all about winning and trying to make my teammates better. I feel like last year, that was something that I didn't fully showcase, making plays for others, making my teammates better. I kind of would just get a bucket whenever, but I feel like next year that's something I'm gonna emphasize really. I'm gonna have a really talented group around me, so I'm gonna just emphasize getting those guys involved, and then also being able to get mine as well. Keeping a well balance of getting my teammates involved and creating for myself.
That's super honorable of you to say, and not to get off course, but when I watch Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kyrie interviews and documentaries, that's a common theme in terms of them getting to that next tier, uplifting those people around them. So again, I would venture to say you're definitely on that path to proficiency. But if we could just kind of stay on where you're at now with respects to Alabama and just the growth that you've made, both on and off the court. Coming in, wrapping up with your third year of college, what do you tell a younger version of yourself? Is there not that you have any regrets, but is there anything in hindsight you would have told yourself, or you would tell to maybe your little brother, who may be following in your footsteps?
Mm-hmm. In terms of what, college or just basketball?
Yeah, I mean, just your approach to the game, what you learned about what ultimately allowed you to tap, that top tier of your potential, where you're at now, and what you may have been doing wrong before versus what you're doing now, and what you would have told yourself in hindsight.
So I tell them two things. The number one thing, and I know, this is probably said a lot, but control what you can control. That's the number one thing. And then number two, I tell them, paying attention to detail. That's so big, especially at this level. Just paying attention to every little detail, like it's hard. It's harder than it seems, for real. With
I can
with
imagine.
all the information that the coaching staff throwing out at you, you got to really pay attention to detail. Like that's something that took me a while to really get a hold of, to really grasp. Like every little thing matters. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
And
yeah, those would be the two main things I would tell little Jules, who is about to come down here too.
Oh yeah.
They got a little team camp for the fourth, fifth graders. So he about to come out here and rock out.
Or that's what's he, a seventh grade now or sixth
Yeah,
grade?
he's going to eighth.
Eighth. Wow. Holy moly. Wow. That's
I know
crazy.
he growing, and he growing. Just he growing. You gonna
he'll,
see?
he'll be on my radar
He about to
soon.
hit that high school scene.
Okay.
Jahvon, going back to what you said earlier, the talented group that you're going to be around next year, obviously the class of 2021 coming into Alabama is amazing. Charles Bediako, but then also joining you in the backcourt, J.D. Davison, as well as Namari Burnett coming from Texas Tech. What are you expecting from that group, especially in the backcourt with you?
We've been working out. All three of them look good. JD's tough. JD's tough. He passes the ball a lot better than I thought he did. Um, just because I didn't really, watching him at a high school, I didn't really see him playing much against like the other top guys. Like I see him playing against his high school division, but like he passes the ball really well, especially with the talent that we have around us. Like that's ideal, especially in our system. And then Charles, man, I'm telling y'all, Charles tough. I got my teammate sitting right next to me. He's shaking his head too. Like Charles catch everything, 7 foot catch everything. So I'm looking forward to playing with him. Namari come in, kind of the same story as me. Didn't really get off at Texas Tech, and now he trusts Oates' system, and he's looking good as well. So I'm just excited for the season to start. We getting after it right now, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I can't wait.
And on that topic, Jay, obviously, I can imagine you guys, your aspirations are, championship or bust. And obviously, you had the opportunity to, you were in this same spot last year, kind of starting from scratch, building with a group of guys around you. Based on what you've experienced and what you learned over this past season, what's like the key to doing what you guys did last year, if not more? What do you
Hmm.
think the key is for you guys in the group?
Dealing with adversity. Like we started the year last year 2-3. We went to Maui. We lost. No, we lost to Stanford early. We took a couple of early losses. A lot of people wrote us off after that because we came in with a lot of hype. But the guys that we had last year, all of us collectively, we were able to, deal with adversity really well, and pick each other up, make each other better, get after it in practice. Those are just some of the little things that all matters when it comes down to who was playing that last game in Tennessee for the SEC championship. So really just dealing with adversity, because we're gonna get hit with adversity this year. Responding the right way and then building on it after you respond.
And now
Absolutely.
you've wrapped up 3 years of college. That'll give you, a little mindset of what to expect, especially at Alabama. So how are you going to bring that work that you've been putting in into the season now that you know what to expect?
Yeah, I can't believe I've been in college for 3 years. It doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't. It's probably because my sit out year, but not being in this atmosphere for 3 years, it's definitely helped my game. Especially like my sit out year, watching basketball up close and personal. It helped me a lot. It gave me a different perspective of the game. Um, so having that, that kind of that senior or how do you say it? Senior.
Seniority?
Yeah, I can't pronounce it right now. I don't know why, bro. I think it's because I just had crab legs and the spices. I, my mouth's spicy right now, but I feel like having that, having that edge 3 years in college, it'll help. It'll help with all the younger guys coming in and, having to take that leadership role on this team.
Absolutely. Well, AJ, we know the Nets game's coming up, so we're going to wrap up with one or two more questions per. One thing that I was thinking about with you, and it's funny, when you the last time you texted me when we were setting this up, I was close to texting you something along the lines of what I'm going to ask you. But, you were, and by many accounts, I would describe, what you guys did your sophomore through senior year as, nothing less than rock starish. Like you guys were like, to this date, and I talk to media guys, other guys in the industry, like none of us have seen anything like it since. But
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
it was, yeah, it was unique in a sense that, you guys you were rock stars, both on and off the court. And in a lot of ways, you had a brand that was super reputable. So my question ultimately was, again, just kind of going back to that reflection piece. What advice would you give for basketball entrepreneurs, guys that are looking to make a living both on and off the court and leverage basketball, their branding, their following? What advice would you give for like the next Jelly fam?
The next generation, yeah. Well, first and foremost, and if there's anyone watching this that has something like that in mind, they can always reach out to me. They can always DM me, and I'll give them some insight on that. But to answer your question, with the NIL stuff coming up too, which is crazy. I've been working on a whole bunch of things for the Jelly Fan movement and my personal brand, because I'm at my personal brand as well. But to answer your question, I would say it was so tough for us because we didn't know that it was gonna pop off the way it did.
Yeah.
But if I'm telling the younger generation, I would say no matter what they put together, what kind of group, what kind of saying they come up with, I would patent it right away. That's something I would do for sure. That'd be the first thing I'd do is patent it right away. Even if, you don't know if it's going to blow up or not, I would patent it right away. But they're going to be able to make money. Like
Yeah, I
younger
know a lot's
generation,
changing. A lot's changing.
yes, they're going to be able to, take full advantage of that. And, it's crazy because it's been so long that it was supposed to happen. It's finally happened. Like as soon as I'm getting out of college, or you know what I'm saying. But I feel like we kind of paved the way. So I'm happy that it's changing it's kind of changing the culture of college basketball. But I would definitely say like even if you're not taking it serious, like still patent it because it's not that much money.
Mm-hmm.
And take it from there. But that would definitely be the first thing. That's a good question, Josh.
You know it.
And
But
Jahvon,
yeah,
I'm seeing.
with this stuff though, this NIL stuff, I got some stuff in the works, Just.
Yeah, keep me in the know because I want to whatever I can do to help.
I got you for
Obviously,
sure.
you got me as a resource.
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing a lot of comments right now. Any tips on finishing? I think I've seen it 3 or 4 times. Jahvon, you're one of the best in the business. You want to give the people some tips on finishing around the rim?
I just watch Kyrie, man. Kyrie Irving. I watch Kyrie Irving. It's a video on YouTube somewhere where he's just under the basket, like constantly spinning the ball, like off every angle of the backboard. That's something that I'll do before my workout sometimes. I'll just right hands, 10 layups, different areas of the backboard, trying to spin it, spin it hard, spin it light. And I'll do that for like 10 minutes to start my workout. That's something that, that I seen Kyrie doing.
Absolutely. Well, Jay, I know the Nets game is about to come on. I want to be mindful of that, but really do appreciate you taking the time out to chop it up with us here on Hoop Recruit Radio. You and I will definitely be in touch.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck with everything through the rest of the summer, and you know me, I'll have my eye on everything you're doing on the court. So best of luck with that.
I appreciate y'all having me. Anytime too. Y'all want me back? Just say the word.
Absolutely, brother. We appreciate that.
Y'all have a good one. I'm gonna hit you,
Likewise.
Josh.
All right, man. All right, legendary interview in the books. So, for those of you who are just joining us, that was Jahvon Quinerly with a legendary interview. We touched on a lot. High school, Nova, leading up to playing at Alabama, the Jelly Fan movement, his mental approach to the game, and so on and so forth. And we'll get a copy of this up on YouTube as well as the Hoop Recruit Radio Instagram page. But again, similar to JQ, Mike, I want to be sensitive and mindful of what's going on in the basketball world. Any final words before we wrap up?
Yeah, so we just had a great interview with Jahvon. So no open discussion on this episode. Make sure you come back next week because there's a lot going on right now in New Jersey high school basketball. We want to hear opinions every week. So make sure you return and go get your merch on jhooprerecruit.com. There's a lot of new stuff. We both got our Jersey stuff, but different styles. You have options now.
Absolutely. Mike, as always, it's a pleasure.
Yep.
And same time, same place next week.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Take care.
You too, Justin.